All right, episode 3 of Ryan and Kota, mapping it out.
Mapping it out.
Entrepreneur's journey.
Still figuring it out.
Absolutely, dude. Fucking always. Unfortunately, it always feels like that. Okay, so today's question or topic we're going to go over is a question that I've been asked a few times, and I always hear a lot of other high-level entrepreneurs, like way bigger than me, like, Priscilla and Gary Vaynerchuk. They get asked this question a lot too, which is, if you were to start over, what would you do? And it's on its surface a simple question, but it really gets down to what you're really asking is, are you happy with what you've built? And if not, what would you go back and change it? And I know for me, what's been interesting is I'm not sure that I would build the same thing that I built if I was starting over from scratch. In our case, I love what we do, but we're in manufacturing. And in manufacturing, the only game to play is volume, because you inherently have super small margins in manufacturing. So we're kind of, by the nature of this business, we're forced into going after things that are super high volume, low margin, and a lot of infrastructure, a lot of overhead, a lot of people. It's a lot to manage. Whereas I see, or some of the previous businesses I've had, which is like a brand, like an apparel brand or a kettlebell company, like a product, is a lot simpler, a lot cleaner, a lot better margins. You have a lot more flexibility. You have less overhead. So I know for me, I'm not sure I would build the same thing again. I'm already, in it this far, so we're committed. We're going all the way with it. But if I was starting over, I think I would look at things a little bit differently. And here's some of the things that I would take into account. Number one, you got to understand nobody's starting from scratch. Every business is a cross section of your current network, your previous experiences, what your passions are, what your hobbies are, what your interests are. And I think if you can take a real deep, hard look at what actually makes you happy on a day-to-day basis and find some product or service that you can build around that, that's going to be key, because anytime you build anything on the entrepreneurship path, it's going to take fucking everything out of you. And if you don't have passion for what you're doing, if you don't truly love the service and the product and the people that you're doing it with, you're not going to have the longevity and the staying power to power through the times where it fucking sucks. And you might make a lot of money for like a year or two and get 1 year where everything crashes and you're like, well, fuck this, I'm going to do something else. So I think it's very important that number one, you understand what your assets are, and assets can be networks, could be connections, it could be, experiences that you have, just very specific things. And build something that you truly, truly love. Don't just do it for the money. Money is important, like absolutely. You got to make money to be in business. But at the same time, you have to find something that's sustainable for you over the course of, if not your whole life, at least the time that you want to own the business, whether that's 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is. So I've found that to be what I would focus on. What that would look like at the extrapolation is, something different. We can talk about it later, but yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
I agree. For me, I always was like the video person in high school, but I never knew like it was going to be that. Like that's the future, because when that first came out, it was like Instagram, social media, it was all photos, and which is like, oh, it's cool. No one really thought about it because it was new. But then now everything is switching to video. Why? Because you can capture emotions better. You can capture voice. You can capture just who a person is, their personality.
It wasn't available back then either.
Like but like YouTube, it was. But if you look back at YouTube, it used to be like skits and things like that. Now it's all about people's brands. It's all about people, what they do day to day. And it's crazy where anyone could have hopped on that YouTube train and knew that like this is what it was for. But a lot of people just didn't get that, like, oh, YouTube is going to be this future wise. That's why there's people that have like a whole bunch of subscribers now making a lot of money. They knew that was the platform. They knew that, so they stuck to it and just build it off. So to me, I going back to like doing the video, I knew it was going to be important, but I didn't know like how important it was going to be. I think I just got in at a really good time. I just enjoyed creating stories through video and editing and bringing emotion out. So it was just one of those things, the niche I got into I just had fun with it, you know?
Yeah. Well, let's dive into that a little bit deeper. So why choose video? Like I've shot video before and I've done some editing, but it's not something I really enjoy doing, and I'm not really good at it. So what was it that drew you to that particular thing? And then what was that instance where you thought, okay, this might be something I can do for a career or an entrepreneur or business or anything?
Yeah. So for me, it started with my dad a long time ago with the VHS tapes, where I remember we were filming a video and he said, Kota, stand there. I'm going to film you real quick. And I was like, all right, cool. I said something. And he's like, now cast a spell. And I was like, all right, cool. Bam. And then he said, all right, now run out of frame. I was like, okay. So I ran out of frame and he's like, just stay there. And then he's pressed record again. And like, I was like, I'm over here. He's not filming me. And then like, he cut it off. He said, come check it out. And I saw the video where I just casted a spell and then I disappeared. And in that minute, I was like, what is this? Like, what can I do with this?
Yeah.
And it just kind of stuck to me. And that was the thing. It was just like video became like magic to me, you know, and I just became like a student of it, where we would go to the movies, you know, and you would just watch. And like, why are people at the movies? To get away from boredom, right? They want to be entertained. So that's magic, you know, and it was just like, you could just watch something and just be so blown away by it, and it would completely take you out of reality. And then once you walk out of the theater, you're like, oh man, like I'm like James Bond, right? Like you feel that energy. So it's like, that's what video had for me. And I was like, I bet I want to do that for other people. And it started with seeing like videos on MTV, and I'm like, oh, like these things make like music badass. Or sometimes a song would suck, right? But if you saw visuals to it, you'd be like, this thing kind of bumps. Like this is dope. So it was just that whole format. And that's why I was like, all right, I think I can make a career out of this, but I wasn't sure. So that's why I was trying to test out the waters. I was an electrician, a real estate agent, an EMT, doing all that kind of stuff. But then it just, a couple of years ago, I was like, yeah, I'm just going to do this full time because it's my passion. I loved it. Everything fell back to that. Yeah. And so I just said, this is my craft. I'm going to do it. And I know people are going to benefit from it. And I just did it, you know?
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. I remember when the first business I started was with my friend Mike Sowers at the time. We're both BUD/S instructors in third phase, and we're both about to get out, and we had a couple years left. And we're like, dude, what are we gonna do? You know, like we want to get out, tired of not making any money. Like there's not a whole lot of opportunity. We knew that we weren't gonna do, 20 and get retirement. And we're both about the 10 to 12 year mark. And we're like, well, fuck, like, what does this look like? What are our skills? What can we do? What kind of services or product can we provide to the world that we can make a business out of? And we had no experience with business at all whatsoever. Like our Mark I motto, fucking normal team guys. And we came up with about a dozen business plans. Everything from like literally Navy SEAL party planners, or like we thought we were super cool at the time. So we're like, we're going to teach people how to be cool. Like all this goofy shit. And then also, every tactical person's, dream at some point is, I want to have a big ass ranch with ATVs and helicopters. I'm going to teach people to shoot. It's going to be the baddest shit ever. And that's totally normal. But at the same time,
that's expensive.
Dude, it's super expensive, right? Like, holy shit. A lot of money. How much is a helicopter? I don't know. It's a fucking lot. So once we were looking at all these things, and actually Apparel was the very last idea on that list, like the very fucking last one. But once we started to apply a couple filters to these ideas, like, okay, how much is it going to cost to start this? So right off the gate, like the tactical helicopter thing was like, okay, that's far away. That's very far away. We're just going to put that one off, right? And then the Navy SEAL party planner thing, we're like, dude, that sounds very precarious and honestly super douchey. Like this is not going to be.
We're Navy SEALs.
Yeah, this is not going to be good, dude. It's not going to be good. So we whittled our way down the list, and the reason that we chose Apparel was because our only asset that we had was our connection to the SEAL teams. It's the only thing that made us different from, the average person walking down the street or whatever. So we were like, okay, we can't, sell tridents. We wouldn't want to do that. You got to like protect the brand of Navy SEAL, and that because we identify with that was us. But also at the same time, how do we take this brand that we care for and we love very much the Navy SEAL brand. And how do we allow other people to access that and be close to it and feel like they're a part of it without actually like going through buds and doing all the hard shit? And that was why we realized that apparel was going to be a great product for that, was because it was like Navy SEAL inspired kind of clothing line. It allowed people to access this tight-knit brotherhood and kind of get a feel for what it meant to us to be Navy SEALs and you know, what our version of brotherhood felt like, and extending that out to a larger family to access. And through that process, we learned a lot. Our first couple years in business, we got our dicks kicked in the dirt all the time. We almost went out of business like so many times, man. And right before we ran out of money, I think this is like year 1.5 or year 2, right before we ran out of money, we started to figure things out. And we pulled up from a nosedive, leveled it out, and then we learned from our mistakes. We started to build and grow, and then the brand went very well. And I exited that company 5 years in, sold my half of it in 2012. Started and sold another apparel line, a couple other apparel lines, and a kettlebell company. But it was always like, for me, that's one thing I always loved about the apparel space, was that it's a way to connect people with a stronger identity or something that they want to be, right? Like I'm wearing a Motley Crue shirt today. Yeah. Like I've seen him in concert a bunch of times. Like I just, read The Dirt. It's just a cool fucking brand, right? So, but them selling merch is a way for me to access the brand that they've built. And all apparel lines are the same way. Like that's just, if you build a lifestyle and allow people access to that lifestyle, that's what apparel lines are.
Yeah.
And so I love that part because it allows me to be on the creative side with, the designing and the branding and the vision and the communication and the messaging, but also on the technical side with the infrastructure and the logistics and the support and the tech packs and the Pantone colors and all this stuff. So I really like the space because where we operate in is a blend between those two worlds. Mm-hmm. And for me, I love that stuff, and we're pretty good at it. And I think that's a really good recipe for being able to have longevity in a business where you're really good at it, you have passion for it, and you're fucking committed to it. So
I think it's cool that you are a part of their strategy brand, right? Because like clothing's a huge, like you're in apparel, but like you said, like told me before, it's a tattoo that you're wearing for the day.
Yeah.
So it's very important to like have a brand that people enjoy and they feel positive representing, because you're a part of that. Mm-hmm. So it's really cool to be able to just see. That's another question. Is it cool to see other people wearing the clothes you're like, I made that?
Dude, I think that's anybody who's ever started a clothing line, it's always your friends and family that buy the shit.
Yeah.
So the first maybe like 6 to 9 months with Forged, we'd see people out wearing it and like, oh, that's, Johnny, or oh, that's, Tommy, or whatever it is. But it was always our friends. And but I still remember that moment where I saw somebody walking down the street wearing one of our shirts and I didn't know them. And they had no idea who I was. And for me, this is, I don't know, 15 years later. And I still remember that moment because it was validation that, okay, it's not just my friends that think this is cool. It's not just me that thinks this is cool. This other random person I don't know sees the same vision that I do. They think this is fucking cool enough to spend their own money on it and put it on their body and wear it out and show the world. Yeah. I was like, that is a meaningful moment, I think, in any entrepreneur's life where the product and the vision that you create, somebody else also acknowledges that and is like, fuck yeah, I'm on board with this. Like, this is my thing. Let's do this together.
Yeah.
That was really interesting for me.
Okay. It's Forge, right? Mm-hmm. I think I saw someone working out with Forge shirt today at the gym in Carlsbad.
Probably.
It's big text, white, and just says Forge, and there was like a skull on the back or something.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah. I was lifting. I was like, hey, that looks familiar, but I've never seen like that, like what they look like. But I was like, like that might be it. I don't know. But then I know you used to work out, or I work out in La Costa 24.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Cool gym. But it's 2022 now. It's been 10 years since I had anything to do with the company. Yeah. So yeah, whatever they're doing now,
I'm still wearing it.
Yeah, well, I'm blocked from the Instagram, so I can't fucking see anything.
Oh, okay.
That's a whole other fucking story.
We'll get in that sometime.
Oh my god, I don't know if that's maybe over some beers we're not being recorded. Mikey, I love you, bro. If you're listening, yeah, I'm available for beers anytime, bro. Love you.
I want to go back to the niche.
Mm-hmm.
You know, starting a business where you got in that niche of apparel, you enjoy doing that. I got in the niche of video, and how important it is for people to. It's so accessible now with your phone. Everyone should be doing it. You know, these brand creators, whatever. Everyone that owns a business or doesn't even own a business can be a creator.
Well, you have to now, because it used to be, social media is now what a website used to be. Remember companies are like, maybe you don't remember, but I remember before the fucking internet, and the company's like, internet, we're not getting on that. We're not paying $10,000 to get a website. Now, can you imagine starting a company without a fucking website?
Yeah.
It's just, it comes across as shady as fuck. Yeah. Nobody would trust you. Like, it's terrible. So social media is the extension of that, because websites are great, but they're very impersonal. So you have a large distance and a large gap between, you know, the identity of the brand and then the consumer. So social media bridges that gap, because you can DM brands, and if they're good at their messaging, they can DM you back, and you'll create a relationship with a brand, which is a very unique opportunity. It literally didn't exist 10 years ago. Yeah. That opportunity did not exist. So I think what we're seeing now is services like what you're doing and the creative vision that you're providing are only going to become more important, because we're still just figuring out how to use the internet.
Yeah.
We're still just like snap of the fingers into social media. This is going to be the way the world is for fucking ever.
Yeah.
So I think what you're doing is right on the tip of the wave as far as new shit. I think it's just going to become more and more important, because the whole point of a brand is to communicate the importance of that brand and the mission and the message to the consumer. The best way to do that is through video.
Yeah.
Not many people are good at it.
Yeah.
So I think that's a highly underrated and indispensable skill set.
Yeah. Because to me, like you just said, it's everything now. And I love getting clients where they're like, I know I need this. And they say, I know I'm older, I just not very tech savvy. And I'm like, dude, I love that.
Oh, you're older than me? I'm 44.
Like, you even older than me?
Oh, shit, all right. Dang, they're old.
And I'm like, yeah, like, I love it, because I'm here to do that for you. I'm just very happy. I'm stoked that you understand how important it is. A lot of people, they're just like, oh, I don't want to do that. Like that's not traditional. Or they just say that because they're scared. They want to learn how to do it. They just don't know how to do it. How do you hire someone to do it? Do you trust that person? Is it good pay? All this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So my biggest strong suit is creating a great product through video, but it's all about the customer or client experience with me. If they have a question, let me handle it, or I'll send you a video of me explaining it as best as I can, so you can go over it. A lot of people, they're just bring their value is, we'll top on a phone call and I'll just answer any questions you have. I go to that next step of like, now I'll do like a Zoom call and we'll record it, and I'll walk you through exactly what we're gonna do. And it's just bringing value to that client and making them understand, like, no, like this is possible for you. And that's like, it can be overwhelming with the technology. Oh my gosh, how fast things change and everything's new. It's crazy. So I understand from a business owner that is not tech savvy that it could be stressful, but that's the good feeling for me. It's like, no, I'm here to help you with that and bring value, so you don't have to worry about it. Yeah. You just create the content and I got everything else for you. So.
Yeah, dude, that makes sense. To get back to the question, because I know I was way on a fucking tangent there. To get back to the question, if you were to start over, what would you do? So let's be specific. So you have the current amount of capital that you have, the current amount of relationships, and say experiences and expertise, but you don't have the business yet. What would you do with the current all your social and physical and network assets?
If I started over, it would find a niche, find one industry. Find something that people can bring value to. It could be a dentist, it could be a doctor, it could be yeah. I love hearing that. Like, I'm a doctor, now you're a dentist. Like, it's just a doctor or a dentist, see, they're separate. But a trainer, a plumber. There's so many niches out there that are like interesting, you know. But if you go so broad that you do videos for everybody, your system and processes are going to be very hard.
So you'd still do video?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
I'd still be doing video. Okay. Yeah. So that's what I mean. I'd still be doing video. Then I'd keep it niched down. I'd find a thing that I really enjoy, which I enjoy fitness. I enjoy video editing, all that kind of stuff. So find that niche and find the people that need help getting their content out there that I know what their niche is. Because that's the same thing where you have a lot of competitors, right? But that's why you need to like have like a jump start to it, bring value and find someone. So it's sticking into that niche where you're like, okay, I know this process like the back of my hand and I can just replicate, because that's why I'm still like, I'm getting more into business and what I'm doing, but I know it's all about process, system and process.
Yeah.
And that's how you scale. But right now it's the beginning because I've changed a lot. So right now, like, to answer that question, it is hard for me to be like, what would I do differently? It's what I would do differently now if I had to start this business over, because I'm very happy where I'm at, you know? And I know this is catapulting to like where I want it to go in the future of, just creating content for brands, you know? So, that's kind of the way I would do niches, find the people that need that value to show their brand off, and build a team faster.
Yeah,
it's always,
that makes sense.
Yeah,
because you're already so deep in the experience level of what you have. Yeah, my answer would be something similar. So essentially, the way I view our strong points is that what we do really well, what I do really well at industry, is we are good on the brand side. We're not 100% on the brand side. We're not the best in the world at branding or design or development, whatever, but we're pretty good. And we're not the best in the world at systems, processes, infrastructure, whatever, but we're pretty good. And what you have is most people who are on one side or the other, it's like a landslide. They're either really good at this and really shitty at that, or the opposite. But it's rare that you can find a company that is competently good and quite good at both of those. So that's where we excel, is where, so we have an understanding of what the creative side is, like the brand, the vision, and the artistry of it. But also we have a physical understanding of the infrastructure and like the technical aspects of how to actually produce that in the real world. And that's where we provide value, is basically being translated between both of those worlds, the artistic world and the technical world. And I love that because it allows me to play in both areas, because I really enjoy both parts of that. However, I will say, if I was to start over again, man, it is really fun to build a brand. It is really cool and exciting to see that first person wearing gear that you know, they don't know you, right? And they feel inspired to wear your stuff. And just having that connection with an audience that really gets this vision that you're pulling out of your soul to give to the world. I miss that a little bit, because what we do now is like very much behind the scenes, and we help our clients do that through, you know, a variety of solutions. But I don't personally do that a whole lot anymore. And that's something that I think is, I don't want to say I miss it, but I notice that it's not here. I notice that it's not here with what we do. But at the same time, I've tried to do that. Oh, I'm going to start. We do have other side brands. They don't fucking grow at all, because you can't, that's the thing. You cannot grow an apparel brand as a fucking side project. You can't get people to buy into your vision of what you fucking want to do without you wanting to do, without you doing it 100%, like pedal to the metal, like living the fucking life. And we're so busy growing this main business that I can't commit, you know, even a fraction of the time to grow an apparel brand that it would take to scale. And I've tried, and it was like, oh, we're going to take this to $1 million a year. And dude, it fucking totally tanked, because I was treating it as a side project and I wasn't fully committing to it. And apparel brands just don't grow like that. Yeah. You have to fully commit to something. I think most businesses, like almost any business, to actually be successful in it, you have to fully commit to it, like 100%. And that's why if you have too many side projects and too many different things, I mean, it's good to start there, like start a bunch of things, gain experience, But I think after a while, if you really want to grow something, you have to go all in and you have to focus on it, and you have to be willing to take the hits and take the good with the bad and figure it out as you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's parts I do miss about the brand side. But ultimately, I think that's probably a selfish answer. That's my own ego. Like, I want people to see my own shit and love it. You know, that's my own ego with that. But I think maybe a larger ego play is that I really love seeing our clients grow and succeed and like helping them build their dreams. I think for me, maybe that's maybe a more mature ego thing where it's like, I don't need the recognition from everybody. I want our clients to recognize the value that we bring.
Yeah.
Whether their customers see it or not, it's actually better if they don't see it.
Yeah.
So I don't really care about that. I want the people that are close to us. I want our clients. I want the people we work with to truly understand, appreciate the value that we bring. And that, I think, is the next level of fulfillment for me.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm focusing on. And, you know, the trajectory of my business is that, because I do miss that. I do miss that part from a customer facing brand.
Yeah. To me, to kind of go back on that, and that's why I touched up on like how you said the whole side, you have like a side hustle business, like you try to get off the ground, but you don't have enough time to focus on it.
Yeah.
That's why I meant like with my answer where you got to be really good at something.
Yeah.
Right?
You have to be world fucking class at something.
At one thing. Mm-hmm. Be the best at one thing and you'll be great, right? Mm-hmm. If I agree with what you said, because that's what I did. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life and figure it out. So I tried a whole bunch of different things. That's great. That's what you need to be doing.
Yeah.
But if you find that one thing, like, I fucking love this, I'm really going to get good at this. Mm-hmm. Get good at it. Get great at it. And if someone's paying you a certain amount of money, cool. You're good. Keep building off of that. Be great at that one thing. Once you have that one thing, put system and processes, build a team. How can you make that certain amount? If you want to make $250,000 a year, $1 million a year, 8 figures, whatever you want to do, get that one thing done. Then guess what? Replicate it with something different. But you already have that whole process of $1 million company that you've built. Now you can replicate it. Business is all the same. It's just going to be a different lanes that you take to get there. But you already went that one way. So level 2, it's the same thing. It's just gonna be a little harder because it's a new niche. It might be a new product. It might be a new thing. But you already know the processes. What's the first thing I did before? Oh, I hired someone. All right, I'm gonna hire someone again. Mm-hmm. What's the next thing? Oh, I'm gonna build out my brand. Cool. I already know how to do that. You know that whole process. So it's like, be great at one thing, be perfect at it, whatever, and then you can hop into something else once it's done.
Dude, you nailed it. I 100,000% agree. That's exactly what it is. Like, too many people hop around, but really, that's exactly what it is. You need to get really good, like truly world class at one thing, and then find a way to scale that.
Exactly.
That almost every business you see in the world, that's how they started. Is they were excellent at one specific thing, and then built everything around that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's it. That's fucking, I don't know what else to say. You fucking nailed it, bro.
Just like, because like just talking to you on and off camera, business, and I want people to understand this too, like you're listening, it's all the same. Yeah. Every person that you look up to, entrepreneur, whatever it is that you're like, I want that life, right? You have to understand the business is the same everywhere.
We're all winging it, bro.
Yeah. We're all winging it. But the thing is, success leaves clues. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people forget that. And they just think, oh, I'm going to start this apparel line. And I'm just going to, go to Kinko's? I don't know. Yeah. Go print out shirts, whatever. Go to a print shop. I don't know. Yeah. And I'm just going to build a website and go from there. Okay. You probably have a lot of other steps you've missed to like have your trajectory or your scaling or whatever to go faster. Mm-hmm. Skip a lot of steps. Learn from people that already failed and talk to someone that already owns an apparel. You know?
Yeah.
This is a huge tip. There's entrepreneurs out there that you look up to, right? There are. Yeah. I have a lot of entrepreneurs I look up to.
Me too, yeah.
And this is an example. So there's this really good videographer that I really respected, and he changed everything about video editing for me. This fool has 1 million followers, a whole bunch of stuff. He's been on tours with all these musicians, and his editing like changed my life. I was like, I love this style. I learned a lot from him. And in my mind, I'm like, man, I want to email him and I want to message him. but I don't want to be a fan. I want to really understand his thought process. Mm-hmm. And I promise you, if you have people out there and you're like, yo, like they're not going to make time for me, whatever like that, that's the wrong mindset to have. Try it. Try emailing them. It's so easy to find emails and phone numbers and social to message them, DM them. But just DM them and be very specific in your questions. Hey, can we hop on a 5-minute phone call? I'll pay you $100. I just want to pick your brain. I promise. If they will look at that message compared to like, oh, I'm a big fan, blah, blah, blah. I love all your work. But it's like, no, I would like to take 5 minutes out of your day. I'll pay a cup of coffee or whatever you want just for 5 minutes. And these are the questions I want to ask you. So it's like, bam, bam. Oh, he already has it all dialed down. Like it's going to be a quick phone call. He's just curious. And majority of those people, like they'll get back to you. It's very shocking. We get so caught up in our head of like, oh, they're bigger and better. And they look at us as like fans or whatever, but they also want to have people succeed. They also want to bring value to people.
Yeah.
But you're in your own head about learning from the best.
Yeah. So on that, totally agree. I would add a few things that I see from my perspective, because I do get those DMs sometimes. So what I recommend is doing a DM instead of an email. And the reason for that is that a DM, you think it might get lost, but I know I see a lot of DMs in there and I just don't respond because I'm like, it's some stupid comment. It's like a fire emoji. And like, I look at their profile. It's like some private profile, like 2 posts. I'm like, and like, what you're bringing, like, you're not even entertaining. Like, why the fuck I'm not even going to respond to your shit because it's not well thought out. But the other time I've had people like send in these super detailed things or like, and like, oh my God, I don't want to fucking read all that.
Yeah.
Like people who are successful are fucking busy. Like they're always fucking busy. They protect their time, fiercely. So what I would say is craft it like this. If there's somebody you really want to learn from, shoot them a DM and make it, like you said, very clear, very detailed, but to the point. Like one paragraph, maybe 2 if it's like super fucking important. But yeah, 1 paragraph, get to the point. And then, but also make sure that your profile is fucking interesting to them. Because if they're going to spend their time talking with you, last thing I want to do is talk to some fucking loser that's just boring as fuck. Like, I'd rather talk to an asshole. Because at least they're entertaining.
Yeah.
But you're going to bore my face off? Like, no fucking thank you.
Yeah.
And I don't care. Like, oh, I really want to. And I personally, this is just my own pet peeve, but anytime anybody says pick your brain, it feels like an ice pick. I'm like, this is a hard no from me. So, and I know some other people like that too. So if you're reaching out to somebody, I know for me, I have an aversion to that phrase, pick your brain. Yeah. But I would say that it is nice for people to acknowledge your expertise in areas. Yeah. And you're totally right. Most people, if you approach them the right way and you make yourself look interesting and like they're going to have a good time conversating with you, then you'll probably get a response, and it might take a couple DMs. It might take, a little bit of time, but it's the conversations on DM are just like the conversations in real life. Yeah. You can't just, somebody says something in a group setting and you can't just be like, tap them on the shoulder. Hey, fire emoji, bro. Like, what the fuck? You're like, what are you doing, weirdo? Like, I wasn't even talking to you.
I'm going to start doing that too, dude. I'm super weird. Fire emoji, man.
Right? Like, dude, 100%. Like, okay, come on. But then if you do, but if you approach it the same way, like, hey, that was a really good point you made. It brought up this experience that I had. Dude, that was really awesome. Thank you for sharing. It's like, that's a whole different conversation. That's an actual conversation, not just sitting there like, spamming each other with emojis. Because ultimately, like, if your goal is to get successful in anything, you just understand you're going to be busy. So look at it. These people that you're talking to, look at it from their perspective, and what value are you bringing them? Not that you have to pay the money or you have to do anything. Mm-hmm. Value's different, but at least be fucking interesting. Yeah. There's somebody like a private profile or something, or like they haven't posted in like 3 years and they've got 1 picture. Yeah. Like, dude, my automatic assumption is you're boring as fuck. Yeah. I don't want anything to do with boring people.
Yeah. And then I totally forgot to add to it. He messaged me back.
Awesome.
He emailed me.
That was cool.
And he was like, I'm really busy. I'm on tour right now, but I'll answer your questions on here. I was like, perfect.
Cool.
And then after he answered my questions, and he's like, I really appreciate you reaching out to me and telling me this. You're awesome. I checked your profile. I see you're a really good editor.
See?
Keep doing your shit. And he said, I get a lot of messages, and he's like, sorry, it took a long time to get back to you. But like, I appreciate how thorough you were, because I am busy, and I appreciate like the value that I can bring you, because you already had the questions. It's quick for me to blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And it was just like, cool.
But you brought up a great point, though, that was the same thing that I was saying, was that they appreciate you acknowledging their work. But also, I think this is maybe the most important thing, because I just realized that this is also something I look for. Is the time I spend with this person going to be wasted? Are they the type of person that's just like a wannabe, and they want to talk about it but don't really want to do it? Or are they going to take the information I give them and go fucking execute and learn and progress? Am I making a contribution to bettering their life, or am I just fucking feeding into their fantasy of someday doing something and they're never gonna fucking do it?
Yeah. And that's like what you said. He went to my profile. Exactly. And my portfolio is on my profile.
Yeah,
all my work. So
you're
just like, oh, this kid's actually... I've had people ask me questions about video, and I go on their profile and like, same thing. They're ghosts, or like they don't really do editing or anything like that. And they're just... It's cool to be curious, you know? Like, I'm still at a point where people come up to me. I'm like, yeah, dude. Like, I'm always going to help.
That's what YouTube's for, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Be curious on here. Look at this. Yeah. Don't fucking DM us unless it's interesting, though.
Don't. I'll just send you a YouTube link of someone else. Yeah, this is a great one. This is where I learned from, you know? Before we wrap up, kind of going back to that niche or whatever, I'm just curious. What would you have done differently if you knew social media was going to be this way? Because in my opinion, I go back and I'm like, damn, I wish I would have started taking pictures of my food a long time ago. I wish I started vlogging and doing stuff a long time. Like my TikTok, right? I remember when Vine was out, Vine was a huge thing, and then it got taken down and TikTok was there. And I'm like, TikTok, this might be the next big thing. I might hop on it. And I didn't. And this was like when it was brand new, because it wasn't, in my mind, it's not going to do nothing. Dude, blew up. It's huge. And it's like, that's where my brain's trying to go now. More I'm into business, is understanding where things are going. Yeah. Technology's moving. Being able to like, oh, I want to be a part of that. Invest in certain things, you know? So I'm just curious, like...
Well, all that stuff's only useful if it converts to something that's useful to you, right? So likes and views and whatever, or if you don't have a mechanism to convert that to something that's valuable to you, like sales or something, then it's fucking useless. It's just feeding your ego. Like, I got 10,000 likes, I got 1 million views, I got whatever. Okay, well, what did you get from that? Like, if you know that you have a 1% conversion rate and you get 1,000 views, like, okay, I got 10 people that are potential clients. Then you're getting 1 million views. Awesome. Now I've got way more. But if you don't have a mechanism set up for that, it's really just entertainment with no way of monetizing it, which can be totally fine. I mean, if you just love entertaining. Yeah. But I mean, eventually, the extrapolation of that is like, you're getting fucking bored. Like, you can't like go work at Burger King and then just be an entertainer. Yeah. Have millions of views. Like, you're eventually get to the point where you want to monetize it. But in order to monetize it, you have to provide some kind of value, right? Whether it's a service or product or whatever it is. But I think it's an interesting time, because we're still just figuring out how to even use social media. Yep. But I think a lot of people overcomplicate it. I just look at it as an extension of the real world. If I want to have a conversation with somebody, like we just did a car drive with Fastlane Drive the other day. And there was this dude in there, this awesome dude named Dale, and he had brought out this badass, like, super rare Lamborghini Huracan STO. They're super new, like there's only a few out. And we're just chatting, we're just talking, man. But it's the same type of conversation and I did DM him later, but that's the in-person conversation I'm having. Oh, he's from the UK and he's got 2 sleeve tattoos. He's got a Lamborghini. I'm like, dude, this is awesome. Like, we have a lot to talk about. So we did talk in person, but that conversation would have been exactly the same over DM, where it's like, hey man, I noticed this about you. This is really cool. What are your thoughts on, something in common? Like, what are your thoughts on tattoos? What are your thoughts on art, music, Lamborghinis, whatever it is? But the people overcomplicate social media. I think the best way to look at it is just a very simple extension of how you would interact with somebody in real life. This topic went all over the place, bro. All right, cool. Is there anything else you want to add on this? We're going to wrap it up.
Nah, man, I think I'm good.
Cool. All right. Well, if you guys are listening, hope you enjoyed our random forays into all sorts of other fucking topics. But I think at heart, if you pull through everything, I feel like we answered the question. I mean, it's a tough question. I feel like I answered it. You know, probably could have done better, but
me too.
I don't know what that would look like right now because it is a difficult question. But yeah, if you guys found value in this, please, share it, send it to somebody that you think would find it useful as well. And follow along and that's right. Send us a DM.
Yeah.
Don't make it fucking boring. Send us a DM about questions or topics that you're struggling with or that you'd like to see us tackle or just talk about or maybe just unpack and be like, hey, I don't know what the fucking answer is, but I found that super valuable too, where I have questions that I pose to other people who are way above me in business. They don't know the fucking answer either. Yeah. I'm like, okay, good. I'm not an idiot. Maybe I am an idiot, but if they are too, then I'm on the right path. I'm fine. But yeah, just communicate with us. Let us know what you like. And do more of that.
Yeah. And if you're watching on YouTube, you know what to do. Subscribe, like, and comment. All right, guys. Shake and bake.
Shake and bake.